Welcome to the graduates of the class of 2019 and your friends and families. Please join me in thanking the Plum Blossom String Quartet, which has been providing our musical entertainment. The word for today, in my view, is pride. It is everywhere today, and it is all for you. I am beaming with it. So too are all those here to see you graduate today. Your mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, children, relatives, and friends. I hope you feel their pride, appreciate it, and bask in it. You are lucky to be surrounded by the people who have supported you for the last 3 years, and in many cases, for the last 25 or more. So I now ask the graduates to stand and turn and join me in a round of applause to honor and thank your families and friends. I also want to take a moment to thank and honor those unable to be with us here today, in particular, one of our own. Allison Angel would have graduated today, but she tragically passed away in February after bravely battling cancer. Those of you who knew her best have described her as a free spirit with an infectious smile who radiated love and laughter, and she made an impact on so many in this community. Thanks to your generosity and support and that of our faculty, a Japanese stewardship tree will be planted this fall in the Jeffries Garden in Allison's memory. The Angel Tree, as it will be called, will be a permanent reminder of the joy that Allison brought to the law school and the love so many had for her. At this time, I ask us all to please observe a moment of silence in Allison's honor. Thank you. Exits, as Dean Fontaine discussed this morning, are often full of sadness, and we are sad that Allison is not here today, and we are feeling nostalgic and somewhat bittersweet alongside our pride at your exits from the law school. It is not only your families and friends who feel proud of you today. Our faculty and staff are also filled with pride. They are the ones who brought you here, who taught you and nurtured you and helped you find your career paths. They watched you grow from nervous 1Ls, not exactly sure what a tort is, into the mature, highly educated, and practice-ready graduates you are today, who I hope know what a tort is. I know I speak for all of the faculty when I say that we are so proud of you, and I speak for all of the staff when I say we are so proud and cannot wait to see what you do. I hope that you are proud of yourselves. You should be. The law is a learned profession, requiring, according to long-standing definition, extensive learning or erudition. That describes much of what you have been doing for the past 3 years, both inside and outside of the classroom. You immersed yourselves in the study of a new and complex field. You welcomed the intellectual challenges that awaited you, and met them energetically. You were vulnerable with your ideas and positions, and you allowed them to be tested for the truth. Some of you, including most of our graduate students, came from another country and mastered a new culture, along with a new legal system and vocabulary. You have worked hard, read thousands of pages, answered innumerable cold calls, written, papered, and deciphered exams. You have also spent hundreds of hours in clinics, externships, moot courts, and mock trials, briefing and arguing cases before regulatory agencies and state and federal judges. You have advised local nonprofits and entrepreneurs, prepared patent applications and licensing agreements, and even drafted petitions for certiorari submitted to the United States Supreme Court. You have earned those highbrow words, learned and erudite. And indeed, you have done more than that. For the profession of law is not only learned, it is also noble. And that might sound hokey. I never shy away from hokey. The noble and learned profession of the law. And it is hokey, but it is also true. The learning of the law is coupled with a commitment to high ideals, to the rule of law as a superior means of dispute resolution, to advancing justice. So joining a noble and learned profession means accepting and holding a public trust, to serve as well as succeed, to give as well as gain from your professional standing. And discharging that trust requires pursuing careers and making choices with integrity, judgment, compassion, and humanity. You have already embraced and begun to discharge that public trust to serve the public and the profession here in Charlottesville, as well as across the state, the nation, and the world. You collectively logged over 12,700 hours of pro bono service, with 72 of you meeting our pro bono challenge. Most impressive, Amy Fly won the law school's pro bono award with an astonishing 750 hours of service, fully 10 times the requirement. And Ja Akande and Takara Nelson won the inaugural Gregory H. Swanson Award for courage, perseverance, and commitment to justice. You raised money for each other's public service work and for local organizations. You supported prisoners, children, immigrants, and disabled veterans. You helped area residents file taxes and find shelter from domestic abuse. Further afield, you spent your spring break serving the public all over the country, and you even traveled to Nepal and South Africa to conduct international pro bono and human rights work. And when I say you, I mean you. You, our students, led these efforts and so many more: conferences, symposia, events, prize-winning student organizations. You have excelled, you have served, you have led, and you have embraced the high ideals of this profession. All the way through, you have done it with characteristic collegiality and generosity. You came here from different places, different backgrounds, with different experiences, views, attitudes, interests, hopes, and dreams. But you were and are committed to joy, humanity, respect, collaboration, community, and dialogue across your differences. That is a tall order, and it has not always been easy, especially in the 3 years you were in law school. These years were marked by contentious politics and world-changing historical events. There was violence far and especially near that threatened our most basic values. And through it all, you showed yourselves to be smart and resilient, passionate and rigorous, committed to learning and to kindness. You were models of engaged citizenship, reasoned debate, and the search for truth within a community of respect and empathy. You are models not only for this law school or any law school, but for our profession and our nation. And that makes me so proud of you. The openness, generosity, and intellectual curiosity you have displayed is a gift you have given to us, the faculty, to each other, and to yourselves. So when I say how proud we are, it is not only of what you learned, and not only of the accomplishments that we can count and you can put on your resumes. We are proud of you as people, who you are and who you have become. When you leave here, you will represent the legal profession and this law school, and we will bask in your reflected glory, for we are all proud of the UVA Law friends, lawyers, and leaders you have become. One of these is Frances Hadaway Fuqua, president of the Student Bar Association. Frances has learned and served and led and thrived here, and she will present the class gift and introduce our speaker. Frances attended Washington University in St. Louis and received a degree in political science and international studies. In addition to her role as SBA president, Frances has put her many talents to use here at the law school, serving as a production editor for the Virginia Tax Review, the vice president of the Virginia Sports and Entertainment Law Society, and a peer advisor. She worked for the National Football League during her first-year summer and will be joining the corporate law firm of Simpson, Thacher, and Bartlett this fall in New York City. It has been a pleasure working with Frances this year, and I look forward to seeing where her career takes her. Frances.
Thank you, Dean Goluboff, for that introduction, and thank you to my classmates. It was an honor to serve you as SBA president, and it is an honor to be addressing you here today. As most of you know, UVA Law has the highest alumni giving rate of any law school. I truly can think of no better endorsement of the experience people have here than that. And luckily, it seems our class agrees, because today I am thrilled to announce a class of 2019 gift of 255 pledges to give for a participation rate of 88%. This is in large part due to the effort of our class gift chairs, Julia Wall and Robbie Pomeroy, and the entire team of class agents. Thank you for all your hard work. You've heard this before, but I'll say it again. UVA Law is a special place. Before I started law school, I would hear from other lawyers that law school is just something you have to get through, that it's 3 years you need to survive, that it should be treated like a job. But to me, and hopefully to you, while law school has certainly not always been easy, attending UVA has never been a job. It has been a privilege. It has been a privilege to be able to meet our lifelong friends, our significant others, our soon-to-be colleagues, and our future spouses. It has been a privilege to learn from professors who have shown us that being a great scholar and a great teacher are not mutually exclusive. It has been a privilege to be able to discover our passions and find a way to pursue them in our legal careers. And it has been a privilege to have the continuous and unwavering support of the faculty and staff of the law school and from our family and friends. We are more grateful to you than you will ever know. Ask most people in this class, and I bet they will tell you that 3 years here is not enough. It's not something we had to endure, and it's not something we treated like a job. It's an experience we consider ourselves lucky enough to have had before we move on to the real world and to our careers. Going to law school changes the way you look at the world and how we all live in it. But going to law school at UVA has also made us better people and will make us better lawyers, and that is a direct result of this incredible community. And it would be hard to find someone who had a bigger impact on this community during her time here than Lynda Howard. A fellow former SBA president, she was the first Black person and the first woman to serve in that position. She made this community her absolute priority in a time when a true inclusive community was not on very many people's minds. Ms. Howard is also the perfect person to address us today because she has truly done it all. She started her career in the Department of Transportation, worked for Senator Lloyd Bentsen, taught at The Ohio State University Law School, was executive director of the White House's Interdepartmental Task Force on Women, wrote Hunter College's sexual harassment policy as counsel to the president of the college, was an executive in the New York City Law Department, and she literally wrote the Sexual Harassment Handbook, which was published in 2007. She currently serves as Vice President for Legal at Landmark Worldwide in San Francisco. So, Ms. Howard has had an impressive career. She has worked in government and in business. She has been a professor and an author, and she has been a public servant and an executive. Last but not least, she has been and continues to be a dedicated member of the UVA Law community. I am delighted to have her speak with us today. Please join me in welcoming home Lynda Howard, class of 1973.
Francis, thank you for that very generous introduction. Dean Goluboff, members of the faculty, family and friends, and of course, members of the graduating class. Good afternoon. It is such an honor to be with you. I'm going to share 3 stories about my journey to law school and some of what I've learned since law school, and a little bit about what has had me stop and really think about myself and about the world. I was born in Richmond, Virginia, in Richmond Community Hospital, which at the time was the only Black-owned hospital in the city. It was also the only hospital that had Black doctors on staff. My father told me years later that he chose that particular hospital because my mother would be addressed as Mrs. Howard and not by her first name. I grew up in the village of Ettrick, Virginia. There really is a plaque as you come into town, Village of Ettrick. Small community that surrounds Virginia State University. It was then officially known as Virginia State College for Negroes, a historically Black college near Petersburg, Virginia, where my father was chairman of the biology department, and my mother was a math professor. As an infant, I was christened in the college chapel. The chapel also served as the auditorium for the elementary school band's concerts. I played the clarinet. And it served as the theater where we watched movies on Saturday night. And it hosted such visiting performers as the Joffrey Ballet and Duke Ellington and his band. The nursery school I attended was operated by the college's early childhood development department. And my elementary school was operated by the college's education department. The faculty and students taught us French, music, and modern dance after school and in the summers. It was an all-Black, culturally rich, and carefully managed enclave that sheltered its children as best it could from the indignities and cruelties of the outside world. The civil rights movement was a subject of conversation and action by the time I was in kindergarten. One day I asked my mother about a word I'd heard and I didn't understand. I asked her, "Mom, what's integration?" And she said, "You know, when I make scrambled eggs for breakfast, when I break the egg into the bowl, the white part and the yellow part are separate. That's segregation. Then, when I take the fork and I beat up the egg, the white part and the yellow part are all mixed together. That's integration." "Thanks," I said, and ran off to play. Social integration came for me when I was 13 years old. I left my insular, segregated community and enrolled in a wonderful boarding school in Massachusetts that was devoted to the principles of international brotherhood and world peace. I met students from all over the world: Africa, Hong Kong, Europe, South America, and of course, the United States. The United Nations flag flew at the entry to our school grounds, and in the lobby of our school building, in words 1 foot high, were the words, "All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights," from Article 1 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I read those words every day for 3 years. They became real for me. And at the same time, I was learning in class and out of class that there was work to be done for all human beings to be free and equal in dignity and rights. When I finally had my law degree in my hands, as you sit here anticipating in this moment, I was excited to embark on a great adventure. I wanted to make policy, make sure people are included in the benefits and opportunities of our society, to serve where I could be at work fulfilling the promise of freedom and equality and dignity for all human beings, and to support others to do the same. I have been blessed with unbelievable opportunities to engage with what I was up to in life, and when I was smart enough to do so, I grabbed them. One such opportunity came when I was sponsored by the United States government to travel to Japan and India to deliver a series of talks on civil rights law in the United States. During a discussion with the Board of Trustees of Kyoto University in Kyoto, Japan, I criticized our government's effectiveness in achieving gender and racial equality in a number of areas. The university board chairman said, "I think President Reagan must be very foolish to send you here as a representative." I replied, "Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your view. The United States is open to diverse points of view, even when they are critical of the government. It is fundamental to our strength as a nation." That trip and that experience were the beginning of a new appreciation on my part for the miracle the United States is, for the rights we have as citizens, and for the rights we have to fight for new rights and to speak our views freely. I returned home with a new awareness of the promise for people that America represents for the world. Soon after that trip, I moved to New York City. I thought on some level that what it meant to be a New York lawyer, Francis, what I thought was that to be a New York lawyer was to be right about everything all the time. I thought I was pretty smart, but I knew I wasn't that smart. I was terrified. Then I discovered I didn't have to be right all the time. That discovery rocked my world and changed everything for me. I was in a conference room instructing a group of executives seated around the conference table about their obligations under a labor contract. I started to read out loud the critical paragraph of the contract. Midway through reading, I realized I was reading the wrong paragraph. I was horrified and embarrassed. I looked up and I said to the group, "I am so sorry, but this is the wrong paragraph." One of the executives said, "You know, you could have kept reading. No one here would have known the difference." Everyone laughed. They laughed so hard that some of them had tears rolling down their cheeks. When the meeting was over, I followed the president into her office to apologize for my mistake. She turned to me and she said, "That was great. I want every presentation that you make to be just like that one." I said, "But I made a horrible mistake," I protested. She said, "They had fun. They never have fun at these meetings. I want your presentations to be just like that one." In that moment, I had to reconsider everything I knew about work, life, and doing a good job. It was disorienting to discover that my mistake was not a bad thing. If my job is not to be right all the time, I ask myself, what is my job? I changed my concern from I have to be perfect to my job is to be of service. I created my job to be the best lawyer I can be in service of the mission and the people of the institution. In partnership with our president, I created a world-class affirmative action program that dramatically increased our number of professors of color, and I drafted the organization's first sexual harassment policy. It was a groundbreaking program that gave people real access to having their complaints heard and remedied. Your views of yourself, of your work, of people, of the world will be challenged. You may find yourself disoriented and wondering what happened to life as you understood it. My invitation to you is to stand for something that is important to you, something bigger than yourself and bigger than your own comfort and your own personal success and gratification. Standing for something being possible is very powerful. Standing for something being possible is different from being wedded to a point of view. It includes speaking up for something, acting in the direction of something, and inviting others to participate in causing something. It also includes listening to others. Standing for something allows you to deal with challenges to your point of view and your beliefs. I'm now going to address who you are today. Who you are today has been forged by this remarkable crucible of rigor, investigation, challenge, communication, and discovery. What has happened in this place is extraordinary. You are not, as both the Dean and Francis have said, the same person who started this journey 3 years ago. You are leaving this place with distinctions, ways of thinking, resources, relationships that give you power in a whole range of arenas. You are not merely prepared. You are prepared to impact the world in ways that you cannot even imagine now. You're also not the same group that you were 3 years ago. Who you are together and for each other has altered, and it does not have to end here. I call on you to discover and create who you are. Together, you will make the law, enforce the law, interpret the law, apply the law, write the law, teach, argue, and question the law, challenge the law, expand what is possible with the law, and recognize the limits of the law. Together, you will lead your communities, develop your communities, inspire your communities, rebuild your communities, connect your communities, and re-envision your communities. Among you, there are legislators, judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys, law firm partners, litigators, law professors, community leaders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, mayors, governors, ambassadors, possibly even a United States president. I call on you to create an ongoing life for the class of 2019. A life in which any one of you speaks for all of you, in which you stand for the success of each of you, and in which you call on each other to be magnificent and powerful. It is possible for you together to be a formidable power for justice for all people, or for whatever you say. Individually, you are the best and the brightest. Together, you are magnificent. Members of the class of 2019, I request that you turn to a classmate next to you and take a moment to appreciate the magnificence of your classmate. Turn to a classmate. Turn to a classmate. Be present to the magnificence. And anyone on the... Thank you. Now, please express your appreciation for the faculty who have stood for you and fought for you for these 3 years. Please stand and appreciate your faculty. Thank you. To conclude, expect your views, beliefs, and logic to be challenged. Second, stand for something that is important to you, that is bigger than yourself. A stand will allow you to examine your views, beliefs, and logic with no diminution of who you are. Third, you are the magnificent class of 2019. I call on you together to create yourselves as a force to be reckoned with. I salute you. I honor you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much to Lynda Howard for that magnificent speech. One of the most enjoyable parts of this ceremony is the opportunity to recognize some of those who have contributed so much to the law school and our community over the past 3 years. You will see on the back page of your program the awards that have previously been conferred on members of the class of 2019. These graduates should be so proud of their accomplishments, and we are really grateful for all the many ways in which they enhanced our community. You will also see a description of the awards I'm about to announce. The recipients of these awards do not know in advance that they have received them. That's part of what makes it fun. These awards are given based on the recommendation of the faculty, and we are truly honored to have had these graduates as members of our community over the last 3 years. One award, the Faculty Award for Academic Excellence, will not be given today, but will be announced over the summer after all of the final grade calculations have been made. If you are a recipient of an award that I announce, please stand and be recognized. Award recipients will receive their awards after they cross the stage to receive their ceremonial scrolls. First, the Virginia State Bar Family Law Book Award was established by the Family Law Section of the Virginia State Bar and the Virginia chapter of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. It is presented to the graduating student who has demonstrated the most promise and potential for the practice of family law. The 2019 recipient of the Family Law Award is Sabrina Sarah Schell. Ms. Schell was a submissions editor for the Virginia Environmental Law Journal and a participant in the Legal Aid Justice Center's Child Advocacy Clinic. Congratulations. The Virginia Trial Lawyers Association Trial Advocacy Award is presented to a graduate who shows particular promise in the field of trial advocacy and who intends to take the Virginia bar. The 2019 recipient of the Virginia Trial Lawyers Association Trial Advocacy Award is Jamaica Tavoy Akande. As I mentioned, Ja was a recipient of the inaugural Gregory H. Swanson Award, given to students with a demonstrated commitment to justice in the community, and also a senior editor of the Virginia Journal of International Law and the education chair for the Black Law Students Association. Congratulations. The Eppa Hunton IV Memorial Book Award was given by the associates of the law firm of Hunton Andrews Kurth in honor of the late Mr. Hunton, class of 1927. The award is presented to a graduate who demonstrates unusual aptitude in litigation courses and who shows a keen awareness and understanding of the lawyer's ethical and professional responsibility. The 2019 recipient of the Eppa Hunton Award is William Devlin Mcdermott. Mr. Mcdermott is an active duty officer in the United States Army. Congratulations. The John M. Olin Prize in Law and Economics is presented to a student who has produced outstanding written work in the field of law and economics. The 2019 recipient of the Olin Prize is Michael Weisbuck. Mr. Weisbuck was an online editor for the Virginia Law Review. He receives the Olin Award for his paper, Winner Take All as a Collective Action Problem. Congratulations. The Earl K. Shaw Labor Relations Award was established by Mr. Shaw, class of 1934, and is presented to the graduate who shows the greatest promise in the field of labor relations. The 2019 recipient of the Shaw Award is Kyle Patrick O'Malley. Mr. O'Malley was a submissions editor for the Journal of Law and Politics. He was also a legal writing fellow and a senior legal writing fellow for the Legal Research and Writing Program. Congratulations. The Edwin S. Cohen Tax Prize was established by the late Professor Cohen and is presented to the graduate who has demonstrated superior scholarship in the tax field. The 2019 recipient of the Cohen Tax Prize is Elizabeth Francesca Donald. Ms. Donald was an executive editor for the Virginia Journal of International Law. In addition, she was a member of the moot court team that won the International and European Tax Law Moot Court competition in Belgium in March of 2019. Congratulations. The Mortimer Caplin Public Service Award was established by Mr. Caplin, class of 1940, who has long been associated with the law faculty and the law school. It is presented to a graduate entering a career in the public service sector who demonstrates the qualities of leadership, integrity, and service to others. The 2019 recipient of the Kaplan Award is Spencer Ryan. Mr. Ryan was notes editor for the Virginia Law Review and served as the co-president for the program in law and public service. He was also the recipient of the Claire Corcoran Award, which is given to a second-year student who demonstrates an exceptional commitment to public service. Congratulations. The Herbert Kramer Herbert Bangl Community Service Award was established by the late Mr. Kramer, class of 1952, and is presented to the graduate who has contributed the most to the community during his or her time in law school. The 2019 recipient of the Community Service Award is Robert A. Pomeroy. Mr. Pomeroy was the assistant managing editor for the Virginia Law Review and also served as the co-president for the program in law and public service, co-chair of the peer advisor program, and the president of the Latin American Law Organization. Congratulations. The Roger and Madeline Traynor Prize was established by the late Chief Justice Traynor and his wife and is presented to two graduates who have produced outstanding written work. The first recipient of the 2019 Traynor Prize is Rebecca Jewel Chandler. Ms. Chandler was a member of the editorial board for the Virginia Law Review. She receives the award for her paper, Due Process and Confrontation Clause Arguments for the Disclosure of Recidivism Risk Prediction Algorithms at Sentencing. Congratulations. The second recipient of the Traynor Prize is Martin Jordan Manat. Mr. Manat was a notes editor for the Virginia Law Review. He wins the award for his paper, The Irrelevance of Blackstone, Rethinking the 18th Century Importance of the Commentaries. The Llm Graduation Award is presented by vote of the faculty to an outstanding member of the graduating LLM class. The 2019 recipient of the Llm Graduation Award is Lina Leal. Ms. Leal comes from Bogota, Colombia, most recently having served as a clerk of the Constitutional Court of Colombia. She graduated from the Pontificia Universidad Javeriana in 2013, sorry for butchering that, and practiced corporate law at different law firms in Bogota before moving into public service. She served as the president of the Graduate Law Students Association. Congratulations. The Robert E. Goldston Award for Distinction in the Classroom was established by Mr. Goldston, class of 1940, and is presented by vote of the faculty to the graduate who has contributed the most to classroom education by his or her outstanding recitation and discussion. The 2019 recipient of the Goldston Award is Chinmayi Sharma. Ms. Sharma was a founder and the president of the Law, Innovation, Security, and Technology Society. She was also the online development editor for the Virginia Law Review. Congratulations. The Z Society Shannon Award was established by the Z Society to promote outstanding scholarship at the university and is presented to the graduate with the highest academic record after 5 semesters. The 2019 recipient of the Z Society Shannon Award is William H. Hall. Mr. Hall was an executive editor for the Virginia Law Review. He was the recipient of the Carl M. Franklin Prize, which is awarded to the student with the highest grade point average after 2 semesters of law school, and of the Jackson Walker Award, which is awarded to the student with the highest grade point average after 4 semesters of law school. Congratulations. The Thomas Marshall Miller Prize was established by Emily Miller Danton in honor of her father and is presented by vote of the faculty to an outstanding and deserving member of the graduating class. The 2019 recipient of the Miller Prize is Derek Anthony Keaton. Mr. Keaton was an articles development editor for the Virginia Law Review. Congratulations. The James C. Slaughter Honor Award was established in honor of the late Mr. Slaughter, class of 1951, and is presented by vote of the faculty to an outstanding member of the graduating class. The 2019 recipient of the Slaughter Award is Kendall J. Burchard. Ms. Burchard was a recipient of the Ritter Prize for Extraordinary Honor, Character, and Integrity. She was also a recipient of the Shoemaker Moot Court Award, which is given to the semifinalists of the Lyle Moot Court competition. She served as the president of Virginia Law Women and Common Law Grounds and was a member of the editorial board of the Virginia Law Review. Congratulations. Finally, the Margaret G. Hyde Award was established by the late Forrest J. Hyde, Jr., class of 1915, and is presented by vote of the faculty to the graduate whose scholarship, character, personality, activities in the affairs of the school, and promise of achievement have entitled him or her to special recognition. The 2019 recipient of the Hyde Award is Amanda Virginia Lineberry. Ms. Lineberry was a recipient of the Ritter Prize for Extraordinary Honor, Character, and Integrity. She served as the president of the William Minor Lyle Moot Court competition and was a member of the editorial board of the Virginia Law Review. Congratulations. Please give a hand to all of our award winners. We will now prepare the stage for the presentation of our graduates.
I will now call the roll of the graduates. The candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor: Marwa Abdelaziz, Virginia Nicole Adamson, Shanna Faye Adler, Jamaica Tavoy Akande, Shubulela A. Akere, Christy Anna Allen, David Hall Allen, Jasmine Tiffany Alves, Michael Paul Atkins, Diana Rumsey Ayub, Curtis B. Badger, Anna Barron, Christina T. Bassick, Hannah Nabil Basta, Jordan M. Beals, Amber Beaton, Christian Chapman Berger, Anna Linnea Bergstrom, Hannah Abigail Blazik, Jacob B. Bradshaw, Alana Catherine Bro, Jerry Brown, Kirsten Brown, Kyle Tanner Brum, Howie Bruno, Kendall T. Burchard, Sarah Frances Burgart, Divine D. Bird, Joseph Michael Calder, Jr., Bonnie Elizabeth Cantwell, Ian Colleton Carlin, Jeremy Carter, Ralph C. Catalano, Kendi Chan, Rebecca Jewel Chandler, Michelle Chang, Tarisha Charpentier, Leanne Chia, Annie Chang, Emma Clancy, William James Clinton, Samara Cohen, Macy Danielle Colbert, Catherine Claire Collins, Charles Andrew Condro, Samuel David Cordell, Sarah Elizabeth Crandall, Carly Ann Christ, Alyssa Marie Daniels. John Dow. Aparna Dada. Brandon G. Davis. Clay McAdam Davis. Roger Tion Dean. Raphael Dubbenadetti. Alexander DeGroat. Sarah Elizabeth DeStefano. Brian DiLiberto. Elizabeth Francesca Donald. Julie Paulina Dostal. Alex Downey. Addison Walker Dufour. Angela Dene. A. Cameron Duncan. Kimberly Delk Eason. Margaret Sue Eccles. Caroline Elizabeth Ellis. William George Fasiliotis. Gabrielle Elena Feldman. Elizabeth Ann Felicidario. Lindsay Rebecca Fisher. Amy Marie Fly. Wade Foster. Hannah E. Freyer. Tyler Fredericks. James Stephen Fritz, Jr. Jason Alexander Fruchter. Francis Hadaway Fuqua. Rachel Gallagher. Owen Galogly. Gabrielle Ann Gade. Michael G. Lauren Kara Gerber. Sammy Boutros Gubril. Spencer R. Gibbs. Caroline Hayward Guerin. Alexandra H. Goldman. David Nathaniel Goldman. David Wilfred Gould IV. Victoria Granda. David Gremling. Daniel Grill. Brian Garino. Colleen Gwynn. Michael Tolley Gwynn. Michael C. Hayden. David W. Hagan. Mcbeb Hagos. John Bradley Hale. William Nicholas Hall. Hunter Hampton. Marie Hannawinkle. Shelby Alexandria Hardin. Max Hare. Elan Harel. Misa Catherine Herring. Scott Harmon Heath. Ryan Harris. Matthew R. Hart. William Crane Haslin. William Campbell Hades. Nicholas Ryan Hecker. William Adair Hyde Primbaird. Jonah Adam Hine. Andrew Stephen Hess. Matthew James Hirsch. Kimberly Nicole Hopkin. John Wilkinson Howard. Thomas Landon Howard III. Colin Hunt. Taylor Hughes. Zachary Ross Ingbar. Sarah Constance Ingalls. Zachary Thomas Eisenhower. Zachary Greg Jacobson. Karen Jin. Tyler Sharp Johnson. Elizabeth Joins. Daniel Sungwon Jong. Noah Carr Caton. Derek Anthony Keaton. Pamela Kathleen Keller. Andrew Kennedy. Caroline Dumeniel Kessler. Genevieve Tui-Mai Kwong. Douglas Kim. Woo Jae Kim. Jason G. Kitchen. Courtney Lee Kelble. Taylor Cordsman. Benjamin Kramer. Theodore John Christek Jr. John Christopher Kurtz. Jenny Lamberth. Joshua Thomas Lefebvre. John Webster Leslie. Nicholas Todd Lewis. Chase Gregory Lindsay. Amanda Virginia Lineberry. Lauren Elizabeth Lipsick. Nicole Christine Linares. James Michael Lockerbie. Alexander Lee Lum. Abigail A. McDonald. Christopher James Macomber. Allison Claire Melkowski. Thomas Hayes Malone. Jacqueline Elise Malzone. Catherine Margaretta Mann. Ashley Ann Markson. Hutton Marshall. Winifred Rachel McBride. Elizabeth Blythe McCoy. William Devlin McDermott. Gianni Dorothy Lynn McDonald. Molly Elizabeth McDonald. Michael McGinnis. Michael Scott McGuire. Madison Aaron McMurray. John Melcon. Jesse Rachel Michelin. Brian Michael Miller. Martin Jordan Manat. Muskan Mumtaz. Daniel Murdoch. Claire Elizabeth Myers. Scott Myers. William Nagy. Daniel Alexander Natal. Takara Michelle Nelson. Jane Mallory O'Connor. Liam Edward O'Connor. Kyle Patrick O'Malley. Frank Peter Orlick. Faith Pang. Andrew Papa. Yeji Jennifer Park. Shivani Haren Patel. Alicia Marie Penn. Spencer Perkins. Graham Edward Parody Pittman. Ryan Poche. Nicholas Timothy Poe. Robert A. Pomeroy. Christopher Post. Shruti Prabhu. Nicholas Allen Prukop. Jeremy Natan Pushkin. Hamza Rashid. Cody Reeves. Eric Reese. Maya Rich. Kristen Ann Ridgway. Samira Ripley. Arminio Rivera Sink. Trina Sheck Rizzo. Andrew Anderson Roberts. Sean William Roberts. Sierra Ray Rogers. Ben Rosenblum. Jacob William Roth. David Rubin. Rebecca R. Rubin. Jill Elizabeth Rubinger. Jacob Benjamin Ruby. Spencer Ryan. Gina Sato. Michael Scala. Sabrina Sarah Shell. Lauren Christine Schnepper. Chelsea Lynn Sism. Camelia Marie Scott. Mary K. Siraj. Andrew Richard Sexton. Chinmayi Sharma. Michael Gregory Shedd. Austin Ryan Shepard. Nate Shepard. Samir Sheth. Robert Silverstein. Elizabeth Ann Sines. Evan Skeen. Kyle Abbott Smith. Colin Price Snyder. Christopher J. Spadaro. Sarah Spate. Michael Starr. Jennifer Stecco. Emily Ann Stewart. Adele Groshet Stitchell. Libby Andrea Stropko. Nicholas Kent Stiles. Ryan P. Sullivan. Renan Tejas. McLean Windsor Taggart. Joshua Brian Tarr. Christina Taylor. Catherine Elizabeth Taylor. William Todd. Geneva Torsiglieri Hardesty. Thomas Charles Satsis. Jacob Tully. Nathan Tyre. Olivia L. Vaden. Jansen Mackenzie Vandermeulen. Nathan David Vanderpool. Kimberly Ann Verady. William Arthur Veith. Macy Sidell Wagner. Max Joseph Wagner. Julia Lynn Wall. Kelsey Christina Watkins. Thomas Christopher Watson. Michael Weisbuck. Stephen Burke Weiser. Daniel H. Welts. Darcy Grace Whalen. Gabriella B. Wolk. Brendan Woods. Michael Richard Wolslayer. Andrew Russell Workman. Melissa Mary Yates. Maggie Yin. Seth Robert Yost. Alexandra Marie Zablocki. Luke T. Zaro. Kayla Joe. The candidates for the degree of Masters of Law. Mateusz Azevedo Bastos de Oliveira. Ramco Bernertz. Timothy Boyle. Lija Chen. Pei Wen Chen. Shuzhou Chen. Fauzen Daniel. Min D. Patrick Ernst. Brian J. Kargas. Yosteka Katu. Youngsok Kim. Lena Liao. Chichi Liu. Jacob Edward Mush. Michael Moreno. Seichi Nishiyama. Federica Clara Cosima Pilar. Eduardo Hazenja Castanegra Guijarro. Geronimo Suarez de Souza. Hirohiko Tanuka. Vicente Valdez. Elioni Molika. Yonli Shu. Hao U. Lia Zhang. Suyao Chong. Lucia Zhao. Ingnan Cho. The candidates for the degree of Doctor of Juridical Science. Wen Ding. Andre Luis Fleder. Jiyang Huang. Mark Warren. The candidates for the degree of Juris Doctor also receiving their Masters of Business Administration today. Frederick Elmore IV. Isabel Margaret Tuz. This concludes the roll of the graduates.
I know it's warm. You know I like to talk, so I will try to be brief, but I have a few things I do want to say. But I'm out here, too, in the heat with you all. As I have thought about your departure from the law school in the weeks leading up to this graduation, I've thought about your arrival almost 3 years ago, which coincided with my own first year as dean. And though, of course, every class is my favorite class, I will always feel a special affinity with you all, the class that began in 2016 as we began our new adventures together. I note, as Jim Ryan did earlier today, that you are moving on, and I am not, but I think that is as it should be. You probably don't recall the first time I addressed you, the first time you sat as law students in Kaplan Auditorium and I spoke as dean. You probably weren't listening even then, so to say you don't recall it would be an overstatement. But it was important to say this to you as you began your law school adventure, and I think it's important to say it to you as you move on. The law is a powerful thing. I hope you learned that here. I told you then that the law is not some constant external foreign thing that exists in a vacuum. It is made, not found, made by lawyers like you. And in a society committed to the rule of law, a legal education is the key to the kingdom. You should never underestimate the difference that you, yes, you specifically, everyone who sits here, are both responsible for and capable of. So I urge you to be generous with the keys you now hold to our kingdom. The keys to shape the law, and in a truly grand fashion, to shape our economy, our government, and our society. Use those keys for justice, democracy, and the rule of law. You don't have to clap. It was just for the water, but thank you. Your careers will take you anywhere and everywhere. Life is long, and careers are long and varied. I sometimes talk with alumni who are sheepish to tell me that they are no longer practicing law, or that they have changed jobs or moved in unexpected professional or personal directions. So I ask you now never to feel sheepish about where your career takes you and where your life takes you. So long as you maintain your integrity, judgment, and humanity, it is never a failure to grow and change, to find new paths and unplanned avenues. Indeed, those sheepish alumni tell me no matter what they do and where they land, what they learned during their 3 years here has served them well, and I am confident that you will feel the same. So as you enter upon this new adventure, always remember to fall back on and carry with you the education you received here and the friends you made. This degree, this learning, this model of nobility will serve you always, and this community, these people, this place will always be here for you. We are in your corner now and always. What we promised you when we recruited you to UVA was not only 3 years of learning, friendship, and support, but a lifetime of the same. As you graduate today, as we said, I'm not graduating. As you graduate today, I welcome you to the ranks of the more than 20,000 other Virginia law graduates in the world. Most of our alumni, as Francis mentioned, remain actively involved with the law school. In any given year, well over 1,000 return to this building. They come to teach, to judge first-year oral arguments or moot court competitions, to speak to student groups, to serve as public service mentors, to participate in the governance of the law school on the Law School Foundation Board of Trustees or Alumni Council. They come to recruit our students for their firms, agencies, and organizations. And some have the great pleasure to return to see their children or grandchildren graduate from the law school. And of course, they return in great numbers for their reunions. Last week, I welcomed back more than 1,200 alumni for their reunions. The oldest in attendance was from the class of 1958. He still returns because this place, these people, and this community, as Lynda Howard has told you, made him who he is and remain deeply meaningful 60 years later. I hope and trust that you will all feel the same. So, though my pride is tinged with wistfulness at your departure, I know, and I mean this as an invitation, not as a threat, that we are saying so long rather than goodbye. All of us here are excited to say hello again and to hear what each of you does next, and then next after that. Congratulations to the class of 2019. Please join us inside for lemonade, cookies, and air conditioning.
Okay. Wow. No, this is yours. It was, I had